Alright, so it's your first time using the Adobe Illustrator and you want to know what are all these tools here on the left hand side panel and what you can do with them. Well, let's not waste any time and start learning with the first and the most basic tool called the selection tool. So when you first open up Adobe Illustrator, this black arrow is what you get to see. And this is the selection tool. And if I go here on the left hand side, this is what the selection tool looks like, which is currently selected. As you can see, as I hover it, it says selection and select the entire objects. This is the first tool that we are going to learn about today. And the shortcut for this tool is the letter V. So when you press letter V on your keyboard, the selection tool gets highlighted. So the very first use of the selection tool is obviously to select any kind of object. It could be, as you can see, a shape, a stroke, a text, or even a group of objects that you can select one by one. Next is how we can use the selection tool to select group of objects. As you can see, if I come here and click on it, now if I press Shift and again click on the next object, now they begin to get selected as a group. As you can see, the bounding box is getting bigger, which indicates that more than one object or all the objects within that bounding box has been selected. The next way of selecting anything is by dragging over it. As you can see, as I drag over a rectangle, by pressing and holding and dragging it, I can select a rectangle, a circle, a stroke, or even a group of objects, as you can see. And just the way we selected everything by holding Shift, we can also deselect. So I'll select this circle and hold Shift and then select this another circle and the rectangle, as you can see. And now I can deselect it. If I keep on pressing the Shift and click on the selected objects, they will now get selected one by one. You can select the entire artboard by simply clicking and dragging over the whole artboard, as you can see here. Alright, so the next thing that we can do is obviously move things freely. I can select the object, stroke, text, or even a group of objects and move them freely simply by holding and moving them around. That's the first thing. The other thing is that you can move it along a fixed direction. So if you press Shift, hover the mouse along the horizontal direction and then in the vertical direction, by holding and pressing Shift, you can move it along a constraint. You can also move it diagonally. So basically press Shift and try and move the mouse in a diagonal direction. It will move it diagonally as well. All right, so the next thing that we're going to talk about is the automatic alignment. So I'm holding this rectangle, and as you can see, when I move this rectangle, there are these pink lines that basically align the rectangle to whichever object is nearby. Sometimes it's trying to align to the circles, to the heights, to the borders, to the middle, to all of the various things. So this automatic alignment is a very handy thing, because if I go here in View, as you can see here, Smart Guides is selected. Now if I deselect it, now you can see that it's not aligning to anything. So this is something that you might not want, because most of the time, so I'll go back here and turn on the guides. So most of the time we work with multiple objects. So this is very handy when you know that you can align things automatically using the smart guides. So this is the part of the automatic alignment. So the next thing that we're going to talk about is the scaling and rotating aspect. So you can come here, select the object and come here in the corner, as you can see just around the corner, and now you can scale it, which basically means making the size of the object smaller or bigger, or even change the direction of it, as you may see here. And if you move the mouse a little bit outwards, you can see I can rotate it. Same with the text object. I can scale it whichever way I want. And if I just hover it a little outside here on the corner, I can rotate it. And it's going to be true for everything that is selectable. So if I select this group of objects, I can do the same for these, scale it, rotate it, and then the same applies for the stroke as well. So this is the point of scaling and rotating the objects using the selection tool. And of course, if we use Shift along with the scaling, if I press Shift and try and scale it, it will scale things proportionately, as you can see here with the circle. And if I rotate it, as you can see, it rotates now in 45-degree clicks. Same goes for the object. If I hold it from here, press Shift and scale it, it scales proportionately. I can turn it around and then press Shift. So this is what Shift does. So if you scale something, it will scale proportionately. If you rotate something, it will rotate it in 45-degree clicks. Okay, great. Now let's talk about the isolation mode. So what's that? For that, let's just select these three and press Ctrl G, and this will group them together. Now I don't have to always drag the mouse over all these three objects to select them. I have basically grouped them together. So if I click on any one, the whole group will get selected. And you can similarly select, rotate, and move this group as well. But sometimes you don't want to move everything in the group. You just want to change one thing at a time and yet hold the group together. So for that, we need the isolation mode. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to double click on this circle. So as you can see, it has isolated this one single object from the whole group. So I can now choose any one of the objects and individually change them, scale them, rotate them. And once I'm done, I can simply double click on the artboard and it will come out of the isolation mode. So it's still a group. So if I select one, everything will get selected. But at the same time, we also have the ability to move or scale or change one object within that group by using the isolation mode in Adobe Illustrator. All right, so the final thing that I want to talk about today is the use of combination keys. So basically, if I select this or any of the objects and along with Shift press Alt, and now if I try to scale it, as you can see, it not only scales proportionately but it also scales to the center of that object, and it goes true for any object that I might select. So I will hold Shift and Alt, and if I scale it, as you can see, it scales around the center of that object. It's true for the group as well. It scales around the size or the center of that object. That's the one final thing that I wanted to show today. That's pretty much it. There are more uses of the selection tool, but as the first tutorial in learning about all the tools, I think this much would be enough. Until then, stay strong, keep on learning, and please don't forget to like and subscribe the channel. Thank you.